Presented by Memphis Shades, the clear choice for custom windshields and fairings for your motorcycle. And Wild Ass Seats, stay in the saddle longer and in total comfort no matter your butt or budget.
Did they sing American Idiot to open up the whole show?
They opened it, man. I told Walter, I said, I hope to God they open with American Idiot. And it's that as soon as you hear the riff, man, I'm like, fucking A.
I knew it.
Fucking A. And everybody's going, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know where all the troublemakers were, but no, Green Day was, dude, if you've never seen them in concert before, I mean, they're just like super high energy. They played for 2 hours straight.
Oh, wow.
It was nonstop, man. It was
Green Day and Foo Fighters are both on my list. I've been for whatever reason, I don't know why, I've been deep diving into Foo Fighters on YouTube, and man, that Dave Grohl, he's something.
I tell you, dude, that's one of the best shows I've ever seen. Foo Fighters. Tell
you what, though,
they're great.
I didn't know this, but so when he first started Foo Fighters, obviously it was a different lineup than it was just a couple of years ago, and he was a little bit of a control freak, and he did not necessarily like trust all of his band members. And when he recorded their second album, he went into the studio and fucking re-recorded almost everything, every instrument, the drums, the whole thing.
He's super talented.
Everything. Yeah, I mean the dude is he's crazy. He's crazy talented, and he doesn't read music.
No, and I'll tell you what, when you can put out an album with fucking BG covers,
yeah, dude,
you've reached a certain fucking level in your
career.
You're like, I can do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna sing the BG.
He's amazing.
When he said that his career had reached its pinnacle when Bob Dylan did fuck, I can't think of his song now. Bob Dylan did a Foo Fighters cover, and he's been playing it at concerts. And once he did that, then he said Everlong. Bob Dylan did Everlong, and he said that he reached the pinnacle of his career when Bob Dylan does a cover of one of your songs.
He's got a lot of respect for a lot of the greats. I mean, he's co-written stuff with McCartney. He's a solid guy.
Did you ever hear when after they put out Smells Like Teen Spirit, he went to the two bands that he stole all the drum riffs from and told them that he took their drum riffs, and they were like, "We've never been more popular."
It was 70s disco, man.
Yeah, 70s disco, the two 70s disco bands, and he was like, "I stole your drum riffs," and they're like, "We know."
Oh, so fuck. You guys had a fun-filled weekend.
Dude, we did.
Obviously, Percy was pissed off at the 120, so he
wasn't pissed off at the 120.
He was grumpy.
We had
any proper man love up there. Probably.
We had a pretty good time. That was Have you guys ever been to one of those before? The Hog Homecomings?
No.
Yeah, it was. I may not go to another one, but I had a good time at that one. It was actually it was really interesting. Way too much stuff to do. You can't do it all.
Sure. Well, they do that so they spread people out enough so that everybody can do something, and You know what was really cool, and I guess they do this every year, but they had 6 different dealers, and they had a dealer run. So you would have to travel to each dealer to get a chip, and a stamp on a card or a hole punch, and then you would come back and then turn in your card for a secret gift, which we had no idea what it was, and we weren't expecting anything. But it was cool because you see guys, I mean, everybody's running right across each other, going from one dealer to another, and it was easily over 100 miles. What was the secret gift?
It
was an ascot, wasn't it?
It was an orange ascot.
Harley ascot.
Yeah, it was I don't know, one of those little foo bags, but it had a Harley 40 hat. And I think there was something else in there. I don't know.
Oh, like a swag bag.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was cool. It was really hot, but it was fun. And my God, dude, I've never seen so many people at dealers before. Ton of vendors at
each dealer.
House of Harley, let me get this wrong. No, House of Harley and Wisconsin Harley-Davidson were probably the two best. They had massive numbers of vendors.
Sure.
I took advantage of that with Custom Dynamics at one vendor.
Yeah.
And have a really awesome setup now on the front of my bike.
Nice.
He can see.
I can see, and everybody can see me.
Nice.
And Ryan, you and your crew rode up to see Dustin.
Rode down to see Dustin.
Rode down. Or
we don't ride. We don't ride up
you
to see anybody.
Down and over. Yeah, you don't ride up except an ass.
Yeah. So yeah, our weekend was super eventful, man. So we were planning. We kind of originally planned on trying to do the whole thing in one day, and now looking back on it, we're super glad we didn't do that. I've now fully realized that I'm beyond a 1K a day age unless I don't want to do anything for a few days after that.
When did that happen?
Yeah. So, dude, this summer, this year, this riding season, these long trips have taken a lot out of me. So I would say
it's what happens when you turn 60.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it must be close, but it's you know, I think 700 miles, maybe 800 miles, is probably my limit for a day, and Dustin's is not that much. So, or Dustin's is over that. So, so we decided to divide it in 2 days. We were going to leave after work on Thursday, so we all were getting ready to go, and I started texting Nick and Bob, and I'm like, dude, are you guys checking the weather? And they're like, yeah. And I go, there's some very serious weather coming in. We need to hit the road. And so we originally going to meet at 3:00. And I said to Nick, I'm like, I'm packed and ready to go. I'm like, can you leave? It's 2:00. Can you leave? And he's like, yeah. So we both already had our bikes filled up. We hit the road an hour before we should have. And my wife called me at like 2:20 and she's like, where are you guys? Did you get out of town? I'm like, yeah, we're halfway to Hillsboro, which is 25 miles out of Grand Forks. And she goes, that's good. She goes, it's 60-mile-an-hour winds right now. There's tree branches flying through the air. It's raining. It's thunder, lightning, everything. She's like, good, you guys got out of here. Well, that storm just chased us. Pretty much the whole day. We got to Fargo. We filled up with gas. Bob got there maybe 10 minutes after we were there. He filled up with gas, and we had to get on the road right away because there was more weather coming in. So we got on the road right away. We got just outside, 10 miles outside of Alexandria, Minnesota, which was going to be about halfway to our destination that day. And it was getting really dark off to one side of us. And I said to Bob, hey, you want to check the weather? It looks like we have something coming in. And he opens up his weather app and he goes, hey, it's just a little blip. And he goes, it looks like we're just going to get, a little bit of rain. We'll ride through it. We're almost to Alexandria. Let's just forge ahead. And I was like, sounds good. And right after that, there was just this massive strike of lightning, and all of us were on our Cardo comms, and we were like, oh, shit. And right after that, a drop of rain hit my pant leg about the size of a softball. And I was like, motherfucker. And then it just, boom. I mean, in 2 seconds, I had water dripping out of the sleeves of my shirt because I had long sleeves on. And then we got a little bit further down the road and I could hear it on my helmet and it was really loud. And all of a sudden I heard Bob go, ow, ow. He's like, what the fuck? And I was like, I looked and I was like, oh shit, it's hailing. So we pulled under an overpass right away. And I'm looking at Bob. Bob's got red marks, a couple of red marks on his arms. And I was like, it was pea-size hail, but motherfucker, that stuff hurt.
That shit hurts, dude.
Yeah.
What day was that?
That was Thursday. So,
starting to trip off.
So we were completely soaked. I mean, everything soaked, boots, all of our clothes were completely soaked. So we pulled into Alexandria. We got gas. We were watching the weather, and we were watching weather develop to all the places we were going. And we stood at the gas station, probably deciding what we were going to do for about an hour. And finally we were like, okay, I'm like, well, Bob thinks we're going to miss the weather. Nick is kind of on the fence, and I'm like trying to decide if we should put our rain gear on. And as soon as we kind of start deciding whether we're going to put it on or put it off, it just starts pouring. And we're underneath the canopy of the gas station, and we're like, well, I guess that makes that decision. Yeah. So we put all of our rain gear on. We get completely, covered in our rain gear. We get on the road. It's raining, and we hit the road, and we're doing fine. We're getting, we're not getting wet. We're staying dry. We have the appropriate things on that we need to have on to stay dry. And we hit the road, And by the time we were going just south of Minneapolis into Wisconsin, to Baldwin, Wisconsin, where we were staying with Bob's wife's aunt. And by the time we got to Minneapolis, it was night, it was dark. And so we had to drive through Minneapolis traffic at night in the rain. All the worst things you can imagine happening at one time.
That sounds like a butt pucker ride.
Oh, dude, it was. And of course,
dog whistle.
You can't see anything. You're getting wet. There's traffic everywhere. And I was like, is it just me? I'm like, why are the people on motorcycles passing the traffic? I'm like, what am I missing here? But yeah, I mean, driving through downtown Minneapolis, going 60, 65 miles an hour in the absolute just drenching rain. We rode in rain so hard and so long that by the time we got to Bob's aunt house, all of us were wet underneath our rain gear. It had blown up the sleeve because we were riding in rain so hard. It went up the sleeve and it was just pooled in the sleeves of my rain gear.
That sounds fucking awful.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, if you want to know how big your balls are, ride in the rain through a big city at night. You'll find out exactly how large your testicles are.
And they probably were waterlogged too.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
that added some weight.
Yeah, you'll find out how big they are and if they float.
It was a bad week, man. It rained. I mean, those thunderstorms coming across the Midwest were no joke.
No, they weren't. And this has been the wettest month, I think, yet. And because May and June were pretty dry here. July come around and we're just in wet fuckery.
I had a storm all the way across Indiana. And then I think it was Wednesday. I don't think it was Thursday. It was the storms that came through Wednesday. I decided to hightail it out of Chicago at a quick break and beat those 3 tornadoes by an hour. And one of them came down not too far from where I was staying with my sister. So I got fortunate on that. But that was a wet week.
Yeah, it's been that way for weeks, months. A month.
Yeah, it's been raining.
Much. Yeah.
Well,
it started raining in fucking the end of May, and it hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
I know on Sunday, and we'll go back to talking about more of the trip here, but it was me and the 2 J's that left the river because we were the last 3 left that stayed with we were the group that was left in the afternoon. So we left the river about 2:30 because we knew this thing was coming. We knew a storm was coming. I was like, well, if we get out here, we book it down the river, and then we head east, we'll probably dodge it by the time we start needing to go north. Boy, was I wrong. We got about 10 miles from Bunker Hill, Illinois, and I start seeing sprinkles on my windshield. And then they got bigger. And then they got bigger. And then all of a sudden we're hearing thunder, and I'm talking the wrath of God come down. Rained so hard we could barely see in front of us. And Jay Sherman's in the rear of us, and he's like, guys,
whose rear? Whose rear was he in?
he says, guys, I can't see. He's like, I have to pull over. I go, dude, we're in the corn. There is no place to pull over here unless you're going into a driveway that has no cover, like a rock driveway with no cover. Oh, so there's
nothing out there. Fucking nothing.
There was nothing, and the winds were bad. The rain was bad, and this was worse than the rain I rode in on the way home from Kentucky. This is the worst weather I've ever ridden in. And all of a sudden, I could see the hog farm that's about a mile from Bunker Hill. I said, guys, here's the pig farm. Push. There's a gas station right when we get into town. So before we get into town, we see this one fella who's on a bagger right in front of us pull over into one of those driveways I was talking about, because I guess he wasn't wearing any gear. And, of course, if you're not wearing gear in this weather, you ain't going to get very far.
Right.
So when we actually got into the gas station and it finally quit a little bit after we stopped, we saw a couple other fellas at the gas pumps a little bit over next to us, and they were asking us if we had seen another guy on the road. I said, yeah, we saw somebody pull over, right in front of us into a driveway, I guess to wait it out. But they were kind of relieved that they knew he was there. But there was down power lines in Bunker Hill, and one of the cars that rode right by us in front of us was dragging a 12-foot tree limb underneath it.
Nice.
Oh. Jesus.
That's how bad these winds were. They were just knocking trees and limbs down. It was bad. Never
Good
again.
times.
Well, yeah.
Well, Dustin, I have to thank you, man. I thought a lot about you as I was getting wet and drenched.
Ugh. Why?
But
You thought about Dustin when you were getting wet?
Jesus, I don't even
I
want to
did.
know where that's going.
did.
He's moved on from young ladies to young men.
I know it. I was thinking.
Oh God, Brittany.
I think you're calling me young. 41.
Jesus Christ.
You're welcome.
No, go on. What were you saying?
No, I mean, I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. God damn it.
He's bisexual. He likes old men and young
Oh,
men.
I am not. Please don't start that bullshit. No. Not if there's anything wrong with it, but no.
He likes old men and young men.
Oh, Jesus
He
Christ.
likes the deek.
trying to give a guy a compliment and thank him for being a bud. What I'm saying.
Come on. Tell the story, Dave.
Go ahead.
Anyway, no, there was I forget where we were. We were riding somewhere together, and I had that asshole-ish Harley-Davidson rain gear that is just a total like pain in the ass. And you recommended frog togs, and I bought a set of frog togs last year. They are super compact. I've got them like really in a compression sack, and I can pull them out whenever I need to pull them out. And they did, don't even laugh. They did an amazing job because I was in some shit last week.
Yeah.
I bet you were.
hours and hours for days in
Deep
rain.
In it. Deep in the shit.
Deep in it.
Yeah,
Deep
deep
in it.
in it. But the frog togs kept me dry.
Yeah,
And
boy.
they're not that expensive, man. So I owe you, all joking aside, that was a great recommendation.
Well, I owe
highly
myself a
recommend
kick
that
in the
stuff.
ass because my frog togs were in my saddlebag while I was getting soaked.
You didn't get him out.
So I
Didn't
should
take
have.
time, it sounds like.
So that's
No, but I mean the rest of the weekend was fantastic.
Yeah.
It really was. I'll let Ryan talk a bit on that because he was a visitor.
No,
I'll be up in Illinois next week.
It really was a good weekend. I mean, we got there Friday night. We decided to stay in a campground in Litchfield, and there's a campground there owned by the city, and we opted for cabins, which was an amazing decision on our part
Was
because
there air conditioner in them?
there's an air conditioner in them. Now they're still rustic. I mean, it was just there was a small table in there, and there were basically like a full size bed and 2 bunk beds. And we just camped out in there. It was Bob and Nick and I in one, and Jay and Randy and Todd in another one. And that's what we did. We just opted to stay in these cabins. They're air conditioning. In fact, it was so muggy and still hot out at night that we didn't even have a fire outside. We just went into one person's cabin and just sat in there and chatted because we could actually stay cool. So it was these little tiny cabins, small air conditioner, but just perfect. It allowed for really good sleep at night. You didn't have to worry about getting too hot, anything like that. So that was good. The first night we were there was a lot of heat lightning and that kind of stuff. We didn't get any storms where we were, but there was a lot of lightning and thunder. And then we got up on Saturday and just had a really great day of riding. We decided to meet for breakfast early in the morning. We had breakfast at, like around 9 and just rode all day long. We did the river road. We rode through a bunch of, kind of farm field areas, rode on 66, really just had a great day and we did the Campsville Ferry. And, where was that? What was that bridge, Dustin?
The Hardin Bridge.
Hardin Bridge, yep.
Yeah.
And then we, went up the river road, went back to Dustin's place, and had some Casey's Pizza and just drank. And
How was the KC Pizza?
I like Casey's Pizza. I thought it was good.
All right.
It was just the fellowship and everything else was just a good way to end the day. We had a really good day. We all just hung out there until pretty late that night, probably
it was like
10:30.
11 o'clock. All these
11
bikes were
o'clock,
pulling
yeah.
out of my neighborhood, probably
Yeah.
pissing my neighbors off. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Especially Ryan's bike, that loud
Oh
motherfucker.
yeah,
Yeah,
he'll wake
that was
up
loud
the
as fuck.
whole block.
Yeah.
I
So
gotta tell this story though, because after breakfast we rode to Carlinville because there was a bike show going on, right?
oh shit. Yeah.
So we ride from Litchfield and we go to Carlinville and we see we actually see probably 20 or so bikes leaving the
On the way.
Carlinville area
Yep.
in the other lane going the opposite direction. Like I wonder if they went to the bike show. So we get over there, we get to the plaza, we pull in. There's vendors, there's people working the vendor booths, and 4 motorcycles in the show. 4.
4.
4.
4. Yep. And 2 of them were stock, completely bone stock.
Yep. So we pulled up, we're all lined up one by one, and I'm looking around. I'm like, is this the bike show? And I go, guys, you just want to go? So we just left.
So we bounced. We didn't even get off our bikes. I mean,
Ryan could have put his bike in the show and
I was
won.
going to say, you should have just entered your all's bikes.
Yeah.
You got some prize money, would have taken care of gas money for everybody.
Right. Right. So yeah, it was the bike show was terrible. And it was funny because everybody was on comms except like 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 people were confused until we got to the next stop. Like, I thought there was a bike show. What the hell happened? But I tell you one thing. The Cardo, those fuckers are flawless.
Yes.
They work good.
We got connected. We got everybody connected. It's the one button connection. Got everybody on linked into the setup there. Great connection all day long, and worked flawlessly all weekend. So it was awesome.
Did anyone have a Senna?
No.
Nope.
We had 2 or 3 people in the group that didn't have comms whatsoever. One of the guys from Unhinged MC joined us when we hit Alton because we stopped at the cigar shop, and then we stopped at my dealership so everybody could visit there. But here's a funny story that Jake from Unhinged told me while we were all at our house, at my house, having drinks and food. Now, you guys are familiar with Pappy Van Winkle 15, right?
Oh, Pappy.
How much is it going for now? $2,500 a bottle?
Yeah, I was going to say
$2,000?
it's at least
A
$2,000.
lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go back down ever.
You used to be able to get it for $100.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
he's telling me that I'm not going to name the restaurant because I don't want to put anybody on blast, but he went to a certain restaurant in the Alton area pretty recently, and they had a bottle of it. And I guess the bartender behind the bar had no idea what it was, what should have been charged per shot, charged him and his friend $4 a shot for Pappy.
Nice.
They drank the whole bottle for $60.
I bet
I
they
was gonna
did.
say, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Usually that's about
Somebody-
$100 a shot.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to another bartender about this the next day when we were down in Grafton. But that is really on management. But somebody probably got fired.
Yeah,
That's-
probably.
I'm
sure.
That's an
It's
expensive
just
mistake.
a well bourbon. They just
I
treat
don't know,
it as a
man.
well.
Markup on liquor's like 700% or more. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think they make Pappy anymore. That's part of the.
No, they make it. It's just rare because everybody
Oh, okay.
wants it. There's just a high demand for it.
I was trying
Yeah,
to
a lot of
remember,
that
'cause I know
bourbon
it's
is-
made at Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, a lot of that bourbon's gone out of control.
Well,
Well, there
became
was Pappy
popular.
Gate for a minute where
Yeah.
a dude that worked at the distillery was stealing barrels of it.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see
That'll
that
get you
Netflix
fired.
documentary on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was on the news and shit here because it was
Yeah, because
Kentucky.
You're in the bourbon capital of the world.
yeah, Kentucky. So, but
Yeah.
he was looting the place dry, man.
I was a pack mule for contraband this last weekend, and I brought some alcohol from Kenny to Jay Sherman.
Oh,
And
That's called bootlegging.
I wasn't
pack
keister
mule.
stashing anything.
It's Mr.
What were you packing
Dispensary
it,
over
and
there.
where were you packing it?
The prison wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I got
Keister.
a bottle of bourbon up there. It was nuts.
It's called keystering.
Keistering.
you go
had to
handle
keister
first.
the bottle.
What's that? I went big end first, just so I could have the handle out to grab it on.
So the exit's easier.
Yeah.
That
Easier
way you
that
can
way.
grab onto something to get it out.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then Jay gave me 2 bottles to bring back, but apparently Kenny gave
That's hard to
Jay
fit.
a bottle of I don't remember what it was, but it was a barrel number 1 of some kind of bourbon.
I got it right here. What it was: Bodallan bourbon whiskey, Far North Spirits.
That's what Kenny gave to Jay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
he sent me a
Okay, yeah. So it was
barrel
No
number
idea
1
what
bottled
that is.
exclusively for Falls Liquor, Thief River Falls.
Yeah, so he was like, you should keep that. His buddy said you should keep that. That's a barrel 1. He was
Well,
like, you
he
keep it or drink it.
kept
So-
it in his stomach for a little while. He said it
Oh,
was
yeah.
good.
Yeah, he drank some of it. Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
yeah. Yeah,
And then he gave me 2 bottles to bring back to Kenny. So yeah, it was a pack mule this weekend.
No.
Jay gets a good price on that.
Yeah.
That trace.
Yeah, he got
Interesting.
he got Buffalo Trace for like $30 or something like that.
Yeah, it's hard to find now.
But
Here,
yeah, so yeah, that was our Saturday day was a really good day, and like I said, we ended at Dustin's house, and I'll tell you what. So I had a little misadventure this weekend too. So
With a bottle shoved up your ass, I'm
No.
assuming you did.
No. So Dustin, if you guys don't know, Dustin's the father of two boys, and his boys are amazing. And so I always tease Elliot for whatever reason, for one thing or another. And so he said something to me, and I said something to him. And so I told him, I was chasing him around the yard. Is how it ended up. And so Elliot ran around this tree, and I was trying to be all smooth, and I went the other way around the tree, and then he booked it the other direction. So I took off, and I finally decided, all right, I'm gonna catch him. Like, I've been letting him get away, but I'm gonna catch him now.
And
so
you went down.
I took about 3 big steps, and I didn't see the lid to the fire pit that Dustin had outside that was conveniently hidden in the dark.
In the
And
shadow.
I took
yeah.
in a shadow. Yeah, I took one of those headers where you fall so quickly you don't get your hands up in time.
Bowling pin.
And I was a bowling pin. It was like somebody hit me from behind, and I went down like a tree. My face smashed into the ground, just like bounced, like my head smacked off the ground.
At first, I thought you hit the bricks.
I thought I hit the brick too at first, to be honest with you.
You
Until
did
I
hit
opened
the
up-
bricks. You
until
went down.
Until I opened up my left eye, and I realized it was stuffed in the grass, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't hit a brick."
Me and Jackie were scared shitless. Like, he just had knee surgery a little while back, and that looked pretty painful.
It looked way worse than it felt, though. I just went down. I was like, "Oh, that was embarrassing." I'm glad these people are my friends, because they're just gonna laugh at me.
I would have laughed my ass off.
Oh, there was
saying.
plenty of laughing happening, and some, like, a couple people was like, "What the fuck is going on back there?"
What just happened?
So
Brian got all hopped up on long drink.
yeah, had a couple long drinks.
That's
It
what
was-
really happened, huh? He just tripped
Yeah.
and fell.
Usually,
No, I did. I hit that.
I
hit
know.
that
usually there's
hard.
libations involved when people start going down.
Yeah.
I've been
I
known
bought
to
a
fall
lot.
face first in a few bushes.
I bet you have.
Yeah,
It was
and if
called
it's
the
not
80s.
the right one, that'll get you
Oh.
divorced.
Oh my God.
Face first in a few bushes, come up with a glazed
No,
beard.
was that back in
Yeah.
the 70s, Tony?
Gross.
Been known.
Break your fall.
Yeah,
Those 70s bushes.
man, the
Oh
80s
my
were good
goodness.
too. They were full native in the 80s.
What if the hair was like it was for the bands, and you were in
Yeah.
good luck?
Man, Aquanet.
I think Ryan just spit up through his nose, man.
Oh no, I couldn't listen to you fuckers anymore. I just about spit out my good drink I had. So yeah, it was a good weekend, but that's a great lead-in though of what we wanted to talk about today, which is
What, face down in the bushes?
yeah,
In
face
the
down
bush?
in bush, face down in bush. What do you think about that? No.
I'm out. I'm going. I'm
See you next
leaving.
week, Brittany.
I'm not editing this one. Have fun.
What does Jared shave?
I don't think you called a bush on a man, but
The Zohan does.
The Zohan.
Wow.
that's the second time this season we've talked about these.
What is that, a
Brittany,
shiitake?
Brittany, you deserve that one from Dave after your comment.
No shit.
Oh, wow, that's a good one. So, no, we're not talking about going face down into bush. We're talking about riding in weather. Because we've all, I think, now ridden in weather. I mean, Tony
I
sold a
prefer
bike.
sunny weather.
Tony sold a bike after he rode in weather.
Yeah, fuck it. Can't clean it after that.
Is
Gone.
concrete dust weather? Is that what we're talking about?
No. Remember on Sunday, on our way to the meetup on Sunday? You rode with us that Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first meetup I went to.
Yeah, FDBM 20. Remember it rained on the
21.
way to Bluegrass?
I had to
Yes,
go
I
trade
rode
that.
21,
through
yeah.
the rain to come and meet you guys. And
Yeah.
join
Tony
the
Tony
ride
was
and-
cussing. because Phil's like, it's not raining. Don't worry about it.
It was like spitting out. Like it wasn't even raining in Louisville. That was pretty funny. I do remember Tony being over there like, God damn it. He's like wiping off his bike.
That's the meme or the meme that Dustin made where Tony was cussing about, you can kick me, you motherfuckers can kick me off the podcast. I'm not riding in this rain.
It was funny.
So
It was shite.
I guess so. The first question is: do you guys all have gear? Do you have like rain gear?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
I haven't. Well, yeah, I haven't used it yet. I haven't needed to.
Except for coming home from FDBM 22.
I didn't have it then, though.
You didn't have it, and you had to ride in the rain with COVID.
Yep, that was a fun time.
Trooper.
So was that your first time riding for that period of time in the rain, Brittany?
I think so.
And how long did you guys? You guys rode a 100 miles or so. How far did you guys ride in the rain?
Shit, I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But so I had been stuck in the rain and smaller hail, I think, than what you guys experienced, or maybe close to that, very briefly as a passenger. So my first ever motorcycle trip, but like I said, I was a passenger. We got stuck in a storm. But it was like really brief. And then so I think this was the first time I got stuck in a storm.
Because FDBM 21, when you were coming back, I mean, you guys had soaked boots. You were completely drenched to the bone, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got to the hotel, so we decided to stay in a hotel because we couldn't see. So we rode. The closest one was Evansville, I think, Indiana. So we stopped there, and as soon as we got into the hotel room, we like turned the heat on, put all of our shoes like over the heater, put our vests and stuff over there.
It was 120 degrees out.
Fuck. Yeah, well, we put all our shit on there to dry it out because it would have been completely soaked still in the morning. So we threw it on the heater to try and dry it out while we weren't in the room. Went to dinner.
That was
and came
a
back.
hot fucking weekend, man.
It wasn't hot when we were in the rain, but
fuck.
In fact, I was so fucking cold because I was sick and just completely fucking drenched in rain in the wind. I was so fucking cold when we got to the hotel room. I was happy we were turning the heater on.
Sure. It's rained on us so much this year. And I've had rain gear for a few years. My wife and I used it on our trip probably 3 seasons ago when we did our trip. And, or 2 seasons ago, I think is what it was. But I really, honestly, last year I didn't break out my rain gear one time for actual rain. And then now this year I've used it on every motorcycle trip because it's rained on every one we've been on so far.
Do you find yourself, say you're out riding and you're not on a long trip and it starts to rain, will you pull over and put that shit on, or will you just power through?
So
if you're just really, like around, you know what I mean? You're close.
Yeah. If I was close, I would just ride without it.
It's like wiping your ass after you shit.
Yeah, especially on
before you shit. I'm sorry.
Especially on a hot day, right?
That's what you.
Especially on a hot day, because if you're riding long enough, you'll dry out. But I think,
sometimes like light rain is welcomed. I mean, it's kind of refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so, but the last couple times we got caught in cooler weather when it was raining, and that's no fun. And so, we've had to gear up, and I learned my lesson this year. So I don't have tall boots, I have shorter boots. And if your rain gear doesn't go down over the top of your boot, like my boot's waterproof, but the rain can get in from the top. And so on one of our trips this year, when we went out to South Dakota to the Iron Horse Inn the first time this year, my rain gear funneled the rain into my boot.
Yep.
And so both my boots were filled with water. So on this trip, I had purchased additional things to help. So I got some gaiters, some boot gaiters to put on. So I put those on underneath my
tampons around the top of your boots.
So did you put
until they got soaked?
Did you put the gaiters on correctly though? Did you put them underneath the pants or over the rain gear?
Okay. Underneath the rain gear, so the rain gear sheds on top of the gaiters. Yep.
Yep.
And so Yeah, so I had gaiters, so that was great. That they solved all the water in the boot problem. And then I didn't have enough time to get waterproof gloves, so I actually sprayed my gauntlet gloves with waterproofing spray. And
Did
then,
that work?
well, hold on. Then what I actually did was I had some nitro gloves, some black nitro gloves, like I use when I change the oil and that kind of stuff on my bike. And I just put the stretchy rubber nitro gloves over my gauntlet gloves. And that kept the hand portion of my gauntlet gloves from getting rain on them.
God damn, dude. Are your nitro gloves, are they like Magnum size?
Well, yeah.
They should stretch a little bit.
They stretch plenty to get over a pair of gloves. Those nitro gloves, they're
but I mean, you those gauntlets you have are pretty big.
Well, the gauntlet, it's the Odin gauntlets, so they're not super thick.
Oh! I thought you were talking about the other ones. Okay.
No, the Odin gauntlets aren't super thick, so they
Not a
work
lot
just
of
fine.
girth on those.
No, there's not.
girth.
You can use the regular Trojans.
Yeah, you don't have to worry
Yep.
about stretching it over with those. It's not girthy.
Yeah.
You just snap them right on, no problem.
Just
If you
snap.
pull in the front of it, you just pull it right over the top, just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Can you do that
so-
again? How
Yep,
how did you do that?
pull like this, and then you. Yep. Then you can go bush diving.
And then you go tongue and groove.
Yep.
We do
So-
not have waterproof gloves. In fact, I didn't even think to get those. But that's a good point because water will just go straight up your sleeves.
Well, it's not even that. The gloves they'll soak your gloves completely, and then you're talking about trying to control your bike with this like squishy wet gloves. It's not enviable. It's not a situation you want to be involved in. So
Yeah.
waterproof gloves are a good idea. I mean, we learned our lesson this year. The other thing, I got a trick for everybody out there. If you get stuck in, and we learned this, we didn't know it, we learned it. Okay, so your helmet is going to keep the water from your face and all that kind of stuff. However, the helmet is going to shed the water. And if your rain gear just comes up, it's going to shed the water right down and it's going to go right in through the top of your rain gear. Okay. However, if you do one very important thing, and then the inside of your helmet is going to absorb that water that's shedding down.
Not if you have an ascot on.
The ascot's
Did
going to
it do
soak
that
it up.
even when you
Yeah.
closed your vents on your helmet?
What's that?
The water, like, did
The
you
water-
get the
it'll-
internal to the helmet? Did it get wet even with the
No,
vents
nothing.
closed?
But what happens is when the water sheds down, your pad, the bottom part of your pad, gets soaked because it just absorbs that water.
I gotcha. Okay.
So you had to ride with wearing a wet pad.
Yeah, dude, for real.
I mean,
so-
I'm here to tell you that shit ain't fun.
I'm willing to bet.
Oh, I bet not. Oh no.
That'll shake you.
You brought it up.
Play blood thicker water.
Next time we come out, you just remember what it's like to be a woman.
So, but this is the thing: if you take your rain gear, all the rain gear I've ever seen, motorcycle rain gear, comes with a hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the key. You put the hood up, and then you
And then
pull your
put your
helmet down
helmet
over
on.
the hood. You have your hood on inside of your helmet, and the rain will shed down and hits that hood and just sheds right out, and you don't get the rain running into your rain gear. Works like a charm.
Like a fucking charm.
I've never
Yeah,
done that
it's
because
perfectly.
I don't like as my helmet fits so tight
Yeah. your
that when you
helmet
go to
must be
pull it
super
on,
loose.
it's gonna
No,
like
dude.
fucking
It-
ram that thing. down
It
your
goes
head.
right over top of those things because that,
I don't know how to
that rain
explain
gear is
it.
slippery, dude. I'm telling you, it fits. My helmet is not loose at all. My helmet's tight as fuck, and it still works.
But
Trust
it
me.
must not be if
I'll
you can
try
put a
it.
hoodie on underneath it.
Not a
Not
hoodie. It's not a hoodie.
rain jacket.
Oh, I
It's a
know,
rain
but it's the
hood.
same thing. It's like
It is not
No,
a
it's
hoodie.
not. A
hoodie
rain
is
jacket
3
is
times thicker
very
than a
no, I
rain hood.
know, but it's still a hood, and it's still shit in between your head
Dude.
and your helmet.
But it's
Every one of
thin.
those, have you ever seen those cooling skull caps?
Yeah,
Where
I
people wear
can't.
Yeah,
I can,
yeah.
I
I've
can
never
barely.
tried those
people-
either.
I can
And-
barely get one of those. Get my helmet over one of those.
Well, you need to buy a bigger helmet.
No,
Yeah, dude. If your helmet is that tight on your head, kiss your ass.
Well,
goodbye.
he's
Some
also
helmets,
using a
though-
fucking
Smash your
Ruroc,
helmet
so
like-
everything doesn't work with that.
Some helmets, it's not even like it's the opening at the bottom that's like they use the same shell size or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed like some when you go to try to you can't even get your head in the damn helmet because the opening is too small.
Yeah.
I hate it when
Like
that
on
happens.
I know you're just gonna sit over here and talk about
Send the
weird
tuna
shit,
can.
but
So gear's one thing about riding and weather, but you know, there's also certain aspects about your bike
For
that are
sure.
probably worth a mention.
For sure.
I will say again, and I was already a huge fan of it, but the RDRS on these Harleys in the raid mode is A1.
So explain what that does to your bike, Dave.
Yeah, it makes it better.
Fucking horrible explanation.
better.
Horrible.
Well, I mean,
don't- yeah,
the
you know-
problem is it's not offered on all the bikes though. So
That's what I was
It's-
gonna say.
it's
It's
not,
not like
but
we
if-
can choose to have it.
yeah,
But you can choose to have RDRS on models that come with it. Technically, I'm not sure exactly what goes on, but I know that it improves the traction. It prevents you from like accelerating super fast. And I think it probably has something to do with the braking as well. All I know is I couldn't see shit for hours, and I mean probably 20 feet in front of me. It was a downpour, and once I put rain mode on, the bike was so much more stable, than before I did. Does anybody here know what's the technical?
is it a mind fuck or is it really more stable?
No,
Or
you
you
can
just put it on and go, oh, I'm good now. I'm in rain
No, you
mode.
can definitely feel it. You can feel it. I mean, everything's toned down on the bike, and it's more planted. Yeah, again, I probably should have looked this up before I brought it up.
It's called Reflex Defensive Rider Systems.
Yes.
It's the rain.
Says it has
the rain mode.
cornering enhanced electronic linked braking,
Yeah, but
Yeah, you
it's
got
the
that ABS.
cornering
rain
enhanced
mode.
anti-lock braking system, drag torque slip control system, vehicle hold control, which we've talked about that one before.
That's a
Yeah.
hill assist. Yeah.
But there's a
Yep.
rain mode that's a part of all that stuff.
Well,
But
and it's not going to let you accelerate too fast so that your
Yeah.
tire breaks loose out from underneath you.
Yeah, it's not gonna let you stop
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So
yeah.
so there's those. So okay. So let's say, like the rest of us, we don't have RDRS. What's something that a rider should think about in terms of
Make
It's
sure your
wet
tires.
and slippery.
Make
Neener,
sure,
neener.
make sure your tires have good tread on them before you take a long trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, what would be another thing? What did you say?
Keep your fucking hand out of the throttle.
Yeah.
It's fucking wet and it's slippery. You know what I mean?
Especially when it first
Common
rains.
sense. Yeah.
Especially when it first rains, because the oil is going to beat up, right? And so the
Yeah.
road's going to be super slippery. If you have a bike that doesn't have lowers, you should know that from your knee down on your legs is going to get the bike. It's just going to kick up all that water on your lower legs. So that's something to consider when you're riding. It just blows up. The water blows up from your front, no matter how big your fender is. And if you're one of those cool guys that wants to have a cool guy shorty fender, be prepared, because that motherfucker's not going to block any rain
It's
at all.
fucking worthless.
Yep, it's going to get you're
Worthless. It's
you're
like
gonna get covered
pissing on
in
a
water.
screen
Well,
door.
that's where the gators
Yep,
gators are a
exactly.
necessity, man. Even on
Yep.
wet roads, man. I wear my gators even if the roads are still wet after it's raining. Just to,
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, you
you're
don't
gonna
have
get residual
lowers.
rain off the road.
Yeah, I have lowers on my bike, so
Yeah.
a wet road doesn't get my lower legs wet, but the rain it definitely affects that. So that's one thing. The other thing to keep an eye out. So Dave talked about visually not being able to see. So making sure that you have your visor is clear and you have a fog protector or a pin lock in your visor.
a little rain X on your visor doesn't hurt either.
Dude, a little
Not in
rain
this
X
rain.
on your visor.
Not in this
Yeah.
rain. Not in this
Yeah.
rain.
Well, some rains it's not gonna, but it helps it beat off if you can go fast enough.
Yeah.
The thing that you really, so if you're on the interstate, and this is what we were most concerned about, is you need to look for and be watching out for water that's pooling on the road.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because way different than your car, a motorcycle is going to be much more apt to hydroplane. Because
And
it's-
when it does, hold
You're
on to your nuts.
yeah,
because
you're
it's-
going to be fucked.
Yeah,
ways
Well,
on Sunday.
another thing, the rain will hide potholes.
right.
And
So
if
stay
you're out
away
on
from-
the interstate, especially if you're going through fucking Indiana, that's a huge danger.
Yeah, so
Kentucky's not much better.
stay away from the places where it looks like water's gathered, because you could be deeper than you think, could be a pothole. So those are all things to consider when you do that. I noticed on mine, you'll really get to see how much oil and shit is on the road, because as soon as you put your rain gear on and then you ride, the bottom half of your legs is covered in oil splatter on your rain gear.
Dang.
Yeah, I will say that the first part of the trip, because I got rained on every part, but after the first part, I think that's really what made me pull the trigger in replacing my headlight, my stock headlight.
Yep.
Mine's garbage too. I need to
because it was just super bad. Visibility was so bad. I mean, it was like, and assholes don't turn their lights on, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I thought all modern cars had running lights.
I was going to say, I haven't turned on a fucking set of headlights in a decade.
Yeah. Well, can't tell you how many cars I came up on, and it's like, holy shit, that's a car.
Right.
Because it was so dense, the rain, you couldn't see.
Yeah. Jay Tomes told me, because he was behind me and Jay Sherman was behind him during that storm that we rode through. He said, I only knew where I was going because I could see your taillights talking about me, because we couldn't see lines in a road.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Jay is telling us, he's like, I'm wiping my helmet and it's not helping.
And that's a mistake sometimes.
Yeah, because
only wipe your visor is like a last ditch emergency. Otherwise, you can end up in deep shit.
we're just lucky because I knew the area. I knew how far we were from cover.
Yep.
I mean, it could have been disastrous if the winds were any worse and the rain was turned into hail or tornadoes.
You just got to fucking pull over at that point and just take the fucking
I almost
rain.
pulled into a farm and pulled into a barn. But
Yeah. So the other thing to consider, and we found this out on our trip too, if you don't ride very much at night or in the dark, you need to make sure that if you've gone in and replaced your headlight, that you've re-aimed the beam of your headlight.
Yep.
We found on this trip that my headlight was not aimed correctly. So when I turned my brights on, I was signaling airplanes.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's
like
not
all of
helpful.
the signs on the freeway were nice and lit up when I turned my brights on. So my headlights were aimed some straight. They were fucked 6 ways from Sunday.
It was fuckery.
After we drove back from Dustin's on Saturday on our trip, I pulled right up next to the cabin and tore my front nacelle apart, took my Memphis Shades fairing off, and broke out my toolkit, my new cruise toolkit that I've purchased. I've used that thing 5 times already since I bought it. Great little kit, but readjusted my headlights. Bob sat on my bike, and Todd and I readjusted my headlights and got them aimed correctly. And very, very important safety thing and something to consider. We just don't ride very much at night because in the summertime, our riding season, it's dark. So it's light out so late that we rarely have to ride in the dark. And we rode in the dark 3 or 4 times on this trip and definitely needed that headlight re-aimed. So
I got the sun on the front of my bike. It doesn't matter which way it's aimed.
Right. I know you
That
have
motherfucker fires it up.
do you have the Baja?
True.
Yeah.
He does have a Baja. Now
Now,
have
are
you
those the yellow ones?
Do what?
Are they the yellow or are they white?
No, I got the white one with the yellow with the amber backlight.
Okay, because my boss who bought that did I show you guys the pictures of that road
Yeah,
glide?
yeah.
My
Yep,
boss
yep.
got. A cop deemed his lights illegal because
They're
bright
highly
yellow.
illegal.
Yeah.
Well, they're illegal because they're like
Yellow.
10,000
blind you.
lumens.
Yeah,
they're
He's
brighter
gonna-
than bright.
He's gonna change the bulbs or something, but it's a fucking gorgeous bike.
They're fucking crazy bright.
But they are
man.
crazy. They actually made my photos 10 times better because they lit up the wall.
Yeah.
I bet.
I'd leave it. If I was your boss, I'd leave those fuckers. Tell them to leave them. Those are $500 lights a piece. Just wait
Yeah.
for the ticket, man. I
Nobody's
wouldn't
gonna
take 'em
pull
off.
you over for those fucking
No,
things. man.
no. I'd leave them. Tell your boss to leave those lights on there.
Yeah, I'd leave them on there.
Well,
too.
here's the thing. Like, yesterday he walked out and he goes, "Hey, Dustin." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "What else do I need to do to my bike?" I was like, "What else can you do to your bike? It's perfect.
Right.
Everything has been touched on it."
Yeah, that bike was
Oh,
awesome.
you can always do
Really
something.
nice bike.
Well, I told him you should carbon fiber the lids of your bags
Yeah, there
There
you
you
go.
Mm.
He can get
because
carbon fiber bags,
everything
too.
going up from the top view is carbon fiber on that thing. Besides,
Do you
the
see
tape.
that fucking those thrashing boys that fucking carbon fiber exoskeleton fairing they made for that lowrider?
Mm-mm.
I don't think I
Yeah.
have seen that one.
Oh, so they took a lowrider ST and they took the fairing off and they had a carbon fucking shell made. and then took all the bullshit off on the inside and made a titanium exoskeleton that it mounted to. It's the coolest fucking thing ever, man.
Wow.
I mean, it's probably fucking $5,000 to do it, but
Probably. I'll tell you what, though, Jay
really cool.
Fast Life, he painted a lowrider that he unveiled recently. It's purple. It's fucking awesome paint job. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. Go check it out on Fast Life
I don't think
Podcast.
I've seen that one either. I'm gonna have to
Instagram.
go look.
Yeah.
His
That guy's
paint
good.
is the fucking best.
Yeah. That lowrider he painted. He painted that for what show did he paint that for? The one in California, I think.
There's a lot of badass paint jobs out there, man.
Yeah.
Purple lowrider, huh?
Well, speaking of helmets, while he's looking, since Tony brought it up earlier, I did wear. This is the first time I've worn the Ruroc.
Did you throw it away?
On a trip? I did not, and I got to tell you, I've got that new transition visor they released a couple of months ago.
That would
Like
be cool
that-
to have.
That
That's
$500 visor.
That's the real fucking deal, dude. I tell you, that is.
How much is it?
Is incredible. It's not $500.
300. It's
no,
300.
It's not $300.
I bet you it's
$295.
$250.
It's not $295.
$250.
I think it was when it first came out. It was like $180. But besides the transition piece, it did really well in the rain. I have to say that it does not have a pin lock, and people were bitching about the fact that you spend that much on it, doesn't have a pin lock. Didn't need the pin lock. Never fogged up once, and I think Tony wears glass. Who else wears glasses here? Brittany, you wear glasses too, right? Dustin, you guys ever pay for that extra?
200.
Did you lose your memory the last
Coating?
couple of months, Dave?
Yeah. Do you guys ever get that coating on your lenses that adds the clarity?
Yeah.
I think this visor has the same tech built in because it's and Walter has one as well, and he said the same thing. Everything just seems really clear and sharp.
Nice.
So yeah, so that did a really good job. I'm happy with that. I was a little worried.
Maybe it's from the ass fucking you took on it, and your eyes get clear afterwards.
I'm trying to figure. What are you talking about?
I can tell you. I can tell you this.
Those helmets are an ass fucking. I'm just here to tell you. They don't even take a step back. I mean, it's full bore.
I did get a chance to see one, Dave. This weekend, Todd has the 4, and
is it better?
So on first blush, the first thing I noticed is it's about twice as heavy. So they addressed all the internal issues that were, kind of plaguing it when the helmet got cut in half, and our friend, I think it was the guy from Gears and Gadgets, cut one of those bad boys in half and showed everybody the insides.
Yep.
And Ruroc addressed those issues. So the helmets, it is heavier because it's heavier than the version 2 that we had, Tony. But as far as what I can tell with the insides, the issues, I think for the most part, have been addressed. There was some very obvious changes I could tell to the padding, how the padding connected, and all of those kind of things. So
they have closable vents now, or do you still have to buy those
closable vents? All the vents are closable. They don't require plugs. The visors are still very easy to interchange. So if you don't have the transition visor, it's easy to take in and take out. The helmet itself still really looks like a nice helmet and that kind of thing. So I would say, to be 100% honest, I wouldn't rule it out, because that helmet, from my experience, was one of the best fitting helmets I ever owned.
Dude, I have to agree. I mean, when I got that helmet, it's a fucking cool helmet.
Yeah.
And I loved it until you started taking it off and all the pads fell out every time you took it off.
Yeah, the pads.
That'd be annoying.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. The pads were. So I looked at the bottom of it at Todd's helmet, and it's completely redesigned from the version 2. The pads do not connect the same. They don't go in the helmet the same. And Todd had already installed a Cardo in his, so he'd taken the pads out and put them back in. No problems. It didn't break the snaps. It didn't. So they addressed a lot of the issues that I think were deficient about the first helmet. It is significantly heavier, but dude, you can't fucking beat that fidlock. That fidlock is such a great way
So
for
awesome.
snapping that helmet on.
that was the thing that I had the most problems with the helmet with, was the fidlock
fidlock?
when I first got it. But after
It's
a
hard for
while,
older people.
after a while, you get used to it, and it is, it's nice. You know, once you get the hang of it. Now, for me, the strap is about a ½ inch to an inch too short. I'd like it to be a little longer, but yeah, the fidlock, once you get used to it, it's the thing. And that helmet, I'm telling you, that helmet took a fucking beating over the last 2 weeks.
Is it quieter too? I guess it is quieter since they've beefed up the inside. That was the other gripe.
So
I had.
here's the thing, because I got into a conversation with a guy on my channel about this recently. He posted a comment about some kind of remark about how I said the helmet felt like it was lightish. All of that stuff is relative. I don't even know what quiet is.
Right.
I do know, and I really don't know with this trip, because I was wearing I switched off the eargasms onto earplugs, which are fucking incredible. So the helmet is, for me, is less noisy than my Arai. And although it's, I think, heavier than the Arai, it feels lighter. I think a lot of that has to do with the new pads. The way the helmet fits, the weight of the helmet is distributed, not just on like the top of your head, but across your face and everything. And it's a good deal.
I think the only thing that really chapped my ass was you pay $600 for a helmet, and then they come out with the one and goes, "Oh, we fixed all the problems."
Oh, yeah.
And another $600.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's no question that's a shit deal. But I wasn't involved with all that. All I know is my experience with the helmet.
So Dave, let me ask you this then about it. Because I didn't put one on. Does it still have because one of the things I really loved about it is that the fit around my ears, they seemed like they made some good design decisions, that once you got the helmet on, there was plenty of room around your ears that you don't feel the pressure from the helmet. Like I could feel that I could feel it on the crown of my head. I could feel it on my face, but around my ears, it wasn't pushing my ears or bending them or doing any weird shit with my ears.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons I had to switch off the eargasms, because the one in my left ear, both helmets started turning. And I would get into like some severe pain because it would turn the earplug. Once you get the thing with the fit on the Ruroc is it's super tight going on. Mm-hmm. But once you get it on, it's just a really comfortable fit, and it forms to your face without being overly tight.
And I found the area around your mouth to be very good too, because
very
you
roomy.
didn't. You don't get all that pressure around your mouth, and you feel like you can't talk. Yeah. Because there was plenty of space around your mouth.
You're not biting if you're motovlogging, you're not biting your cheek. Anybody that motovlog knows what we're talking about there.
Yeah. Well, and if you have comms in your helmet and you're talking a little bit, you know what that is too. So I like I said, I got a chance to see one, and I would have to say that it was much improved. It doesn't mean that I really like the Simpson helmet I bought a new Simpson this year, and I'll continue to ride it because I really like the Simpson helmet. But I'm not opposed to considering a Ruroc again at some point. But
yeah, I mean, and again, it took a fucking beating for 2 weeks, on and off in storms. Sure. The one thing that that I kind of knocked a little bit on the helmet, I think in one of the reviews I did, was that it doesn't flow as much air as the Arai.
Sure.
And I was thinking before the rain started, man, I wish this helmet would just flow a little more air. I don't feel like I'm getting anything. And then after the storm started coming down and the water started coming down on my face inside the helmet, because I forgot to close the vent, back to your question, Tony, I realized, it does actually flow a lot more than I thought.
Those brow vents on the Arai are awesome.
They are. And I've got caught in the storm, forgot to close those too, man.
Those really do. I mean, you can feel the air with those, and they're little. Yeah. I mean, you didn't think, I thought they were a gimmick until I started riding with it. I was like, man, these are fucking, it's like an air conditioner.
The thing that will cause me to wear the Arai less than what I was, or than what I would otherwise, is this transition shield on the Ruroc. Because because that shade system on the Arai is good.
Yeah.
But it's still a pain in the ass to have to deal with. But this transition shield, I'm telling you guys, it's unlike anything I've seen.
Shoei makes one of those also. They've had one for a while.
Yeah.
More people need to have them because the transition shields, I think,
they're
would
just
be very
expensive
popular.
though, man. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
fucking
the
a
thing. They
$200
cost a lot.
visor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to fucking, $200 for a piece of plastic's fucking strong.
But think about the Arai though, right? I mean, by the time you get a visor and you get that shade system to go with it, you're over $200.
Yeah, you're over $200 on that too. But at least you feel like you got something. It's got a mechanism on it and 2 different shields. At least you feel like you're getting something.
Yeah.
I don't know. All that shit's expensive, but
I'm wearing the Ruroc Sturgis.
So there you go.
There it is.
So what else? So we talked about, your motorcycle. We talked about gear. What about, is there anything else about riding in weather or rain specifically that would be a consideration?
I would just say your mental state. Don't tense up. Don't freak out too much. I mean, yeah, it's scary riding in sketchy weather, but I think the calmer that you make yourself, the better off you're going to be.
That's a really good point, Dustin.
See, I don't get freaked out. I get pissed off when I'm riding in the rain. It's like, this fucking sucks.
Well, because you don't want to get that way because you don't want to get your bike all dirty.
Yeah, but I mean, in the rain, I just slow it down, man. And I know there's times where, like Dustin says, when you can't see, and I mean, those are situations that you just have to deal with when they come up. Do I stop or do I press on?
Oh, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have the Sedici Strata 2, and I love the helmet. Best helmet I've owned. They actually have the photochromic shield that will change shades.
They have one of those
nice.
too.
Yeah,
$120. And I think I'm going to get one next season because I'm hoping to God, because I've got the bug ever since going to Anamosa, then riding here with the guys and everything last weekend. I want to do a longer haul, and something like this would be perfect because I'm not swapping out shields. I'm not packing one where I could pack other stuff.
Well, and you can ride a really long day, right? Through a lot of different conditions with that.
Yeah. Because how fast is it, Dave? Does it transfer? Is it like the ones for your glasses where it takes a minute?
No, it's not too bad. I've got a video I'm editing now, and I went outside and I had a camera facing back, so you can see it transition.
I was just curious because when you're riding and say you get into dense tree cover and shit, and it gets real dark.
No, it's pretty fast. I mean, I'll tell you how fast it is. I put it on our patio furniture to try to shoot a video of it. And before I hit go on the video, it was already starting to shift.
I had eyeglasses that did that. It was handy, but when you went inside from being outside,
it took a minute.
It took a minute. I was running the walls.
Yeah. Back to what Dustin was saying though about panicking and stuff, and one of the things that I learned on this trip in the rain, because I don't know what it is with Indiana and Ohio, their Easy Pass technology is like Gen 1 from 1924. It doesn't work with the latest transponders. And I found myself having to stop because they have the stupid gates, right? That if the Easy Pass doesn't work, the gate's not lifting up and you can't go through. So I was having to stop and pay cash tolls, especially in Ohio, in the rain with its storming. And, I learned a lesson. Keep a credit card or keep cash. If you've got a road glide or a street glide, keep it in the pocket of the bike, not in the pocket of your pants. And don't feel like you need to go right fast. Take your time. Once you pay the toll, let the people behind you can fucking wait.
Common sense.
Get your stuff together, take your time, and roll out when you're ready.
That's really something that we don't deal with much in the Midwest. On all the trips that we've taken, toll roads has never been an issue. And we drove through a toll road in Illinois, and a toll road in Kentucky, and we've never been billed for them.
Well, Illinois is pretty slick though. I think we just talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I asked Dustin if it was free. I finally yesterday got billed for a toll going through Illinois, 90 cents.
Okay.
But
90
I'll be in
cents?
Illinois
90
next
cents.
weekend, bitches.
Wow.
But the nice thing
the toll
about
we got charged
Illinois
recently?
is they don't. It's all open road tolling. There's no booths with arms.
That's like it
people
is on
waiting.
this
Yeah.
Sure.
our fucking
We went-
bridge over here.
We went through Illinois, and they charged us a $15 processing fee, which was more than the total tolls that we got.
The toll was what, $1.50 and then a $15
tolls were
processing
like
fee.
$5, and then we had like a $15 processing fee. I'm like, this is some fucking bullshit. What the
Well, they
hell?
fuck you over here to go over to Indiana. It's $4 a trip, and I mean to charge you to go to Indiana is just a kick in the nuts. I mean,
I'm with you, and I'm sorry for listeners that live in Indiana, but goddamn, man, those
it's
roads,
the asshole of
it's-
America.
between the roads and the trucks on the roads.
Yeah,
it's,
Indiana's just
yeah.
there's nothing quality over there, dude.
Tony Scuba Steve lives in Indiana. Remember
And
Scuba
that-
Steve?
that
He showed it
explains
FTV.
a lot.
Oh, jeez.
I will say back
He's
to
a good
the
dude. Come on.
back to the
He is a
rain.
good dude, man.
One of the good things about Indiana going across that and being caught in a massive thunderstorm like that is the roads are flat and straight.
They are flat and straight. I
And
mean,
that-
there's a lot of people here that live in Indiana because of tax reasons too, and they commute over to Louisville to work. But I'm just saying,
Is that why the roads are so bad? Because they don't pay taxes?
probably our roads are fucking awful, and I mean they've been working on them since I was 15.
So
So-
I have
like
not
for like
encountered that
42
many.
years then.
Yeah, I mean it's been a long fucking time. And they'll probably still be working on them after I'm dead. So it's our roads are terrible.
I know 66 wasn't very fun for a couple of these fellas last
Oh,
week.
dude. We rode over part of 66, and there were a couple guys out there just getting straight tape punched.
I could
so-
hear him. I could hear him
Wow.
in the car. Goes, oh motherfucker!
Yeah.
And I thought I honestly heard somebody said "fucking Dustin."
Yeah.
I was
were
like,
you,
"Look, dude, this is historic 66. You're gonna take a couple bumps."
were you
Yeah.
guys
take some
riding
bumps, man.
the on again, off again part of 66? The I exist, I don't exist pieces?
No, we're not like that. It's the same, pretty much the same stretch. Different segregations are spread out, but I kept them on historic as much as I could.
Gotcha.
Once we got over by mine, and we stopped at some roadside attractions. The Shell station I take a lot of photos of. We stopped and walked through that little museum that they have there, and then the Pink Elephant Antique Mall, which has that old 50 style diner and the Twisty Treat and the candy shop in it. We stopped into there, and I think it was worth stopping at. The guys liked it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Super good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked about speed, we talked about bike, we talked about not freaking out when you're on your bike and having appropriate gear. That's about it, right?
That's about it, man.
There's
I
no
mean,
reason to avoid the rain. It's not going to kill your bike. Wait, well there is one thing.
Rain sock.
A rain sock. If you
Yeah.
if you don't have the appropriate breather on your bike, or if you're running a stock breather actually on Harleys, you're okay because it pretty much covers your air intake. But if you replaced your air intake, you got to have the right air intake. I'm lucky. I bought one that is water resistant, so I don't have that problem. But otherwise, you should make sure you have a rain sock. You should put it in your bike and never fucking take it out. Because if you get caught in the rain and you don't have a rain sock, your motor's just going to suck in air, and before you know it, you're going to be on the side of the road wishing it didn't happen.
Yep.
Actually, you want it to suck air. You don't want it to suck
You know,
water.
suck
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, you'll suck air, all right.
I heard you could suck the sand out of concrete.
You can suck the chrome off a bumper, Tony.
Put a sock on it, guys.
Put a sock on it.
Jesus. Well, there's one other thing we could talk about real quick before we call this meeting of the FDB Society.
What's that?
This thing, our 75 Ironhead
yes.
Sports,
Yep.
which was just up in Milwaukee at the 120th. Dave was there.
Yep.
Mr. Williams was there.
58 days, I think. I just counted today. 58 days.
Counting down.
Yeah, so -7 at the time of this recording, but we're coming into the final stretch, everybody. If you haven't bought tickets, go to our website at 5dirtybikers.com. Buy some tickets because she's running out.
Yep.
And again, we want to thank all of our supporters of the bike build, FNA, Engine Armor Coatings, Milkbone Customs, who did the awesome paint job, Blockhead Garage, who did the engine work, Throttle Addiction, TC Brothers, Prism Supply, Chop Docks, Lowbrow Customs, SNS Performance, and of course, Mr. Jared Weems.
Yep. It's a cool bike. Go buy a ticket.
It is. There are a lot of people taking pictures of it at the 120.
It's definitely worth $25.
That'll be the best $25 you ever spend.
Yeah,
if you win it, it would
definitely
be
worth $25.
Yep.
And if you haven't seen it in person yet, you can see it at Fuel Cleveland, which is the weekend of July 29th.
Yep, that's coming up this weekend.
Where's that at?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio.
Okay.
So yeah, if you guys are in the Cleveland area or looking to travel over a weekend, head up there, and myself and my Jared will be there, and you'll be able to see the bike.
Take cash for the tolls.
Yeah.
Fucking Easy Pass don't work up in Ohio.
And when you
remember
see
Easy
Brittany,
Pass
try to crush her
anyways.
hand.
Yeah. And she's
Crush
got
my
one of
hand.
those silver Sharpies. That way she can sign your rubber suits.
Or are you going to have the something about Mary hair going on, or because it's flat tonight? So for Fuel Cleveland, is it going to be spiky?
Probably not. I'll probably have a hat on because we'll be out in the sun all day.
It's going to be something about married up.
The hat will be like floating in the air.
Yeah, it'll be sitting way up top. All right. I think we're going to wrap, everybody. Thanks for spending your Monday or whatever day it is you listen to this podcast. We're out for this time. See you later. FDB out.
Later, bitches.
Bye.